The Gallic Wars. How Caesar conquered Gaul. The year was 58 BCE. And Rome's most ambitious politician was about to gamble everything on a single audacious bet. Julius Caesar, drowning in debt, politically cornered, and facing potential exile, would either emerge as Rome's greatest hero or die forgotten in the forests of Gaul. What happened next would reshape the ancient world forever. Caesar's situation was desperate. His political enemies were circling like vultures, and his creditors were demanding payment. But Caesar possessed something his rivals lacked: an iron will and a genius for turning crisis into opportunity. When the Gallic tribes began their migrations along Rome's borders, Caesar saw his chance. He would conquer Gaul of it. The Helvetii crisis and First Blood. The crisis began with the Helvetii, a Celtic tribe from Switzerland. Facing Germanic pressure, nearly 400,000 people decided to migrate westward through Roman territory. Caesar, serving as proconsul of Gaul, saw something grander than border control: a pretext for total conquest. Caesar's first move was masterful. He destroyed the bridge over the Rhine, forcing negotiations. When the Helvetii refused his terms, he struck with lightning speed. At Bibrecht in 58 BCE, Caesar's legions crushed the migrating tribe. But Caesar deliberately allowed survivors to escape, knowing they would spread tales of Roman military might throughout Gaul. The psychological warfare had begun. With the Helvetii neutralized, Caesar faced Ariovistus, king of the Germanic Swabi tribe, who had crossed the Rhine and was establishing himself in Gallic territory. Caesar recognized the existential threat. Germanic settlements west of the Rhine would eventually threaten Rome itself. The confrontation was a masterpiece of manipulation. Caesar systematically humiliated Ariovistus through diplomatic protocol, then crushed the Germans in battle. Two major victories in a single season announced Caesar's arrival as a military genius. The Belgian coalition. Facing impossible odds, here's where Caesar's story takes a shocking turn. Just when victory seemed assured, the largest military coalition in Gallic history was forming against him, and Caesar was about to face odds that would have terrified even Alexander the Great. The Belgae, fierce northern tribes, united under a single banner, fielding over 300,000 warriors, the largest force ever assembled in ancient Europe. Caesar's response was characteristically audacious. With just 25,000 men, he marched north to face an enemy that outnumbered him 12-1. The 57 BCE campaign showcased Caesar's strategic brilliance. Using divide-and-conquer tactics, he struck individual tribes before they could unite, fragmenting the coalition through diplomacy and intimidation. At the Sabus River, Caesar's forces walked into a perfect ambush by the Nervi. His army was caught completely off guard, legions scattered, disaster seeming certain. But Caesar grabbed a shield from a fallen soldier and charged into the front lines, rallying his men by personal example. What had begun as a rout became a crushing victory that ended Belgian resistance. Maritime wars and Germanic threats. Caesar's conquest extended beyond land warfare. The Veneti, a powerful maritime tribe from Brittany, controlled Atlantic sea routes with massive leather-sailed ships built for savage ocean storms. Caesar's innovative solutions, specialized hooks that could cut enemy rigging, turned the Veneti vessels into sitting ducks for Roman ramming tactics. Meanwhile, new Germanic tribes crossed the Rhine in massive numbers. Caesar's response was swift and merciless. He seized their leaders during peace negotiations, then slaughtered the leaderless tribes wholesale. To demonstrate Roman power, he built a bridge across the Rhine. An engineering marvel, spent 18 days burning Germanic villages, then withdrew and destroyed the bridge, leaving enemies to contemplate Roman capabilities beyond the edge of the world. In 55 BCE, Caesar launched his most audacious gambit, invading Britain, the mysterious island at the world's edge. Despite treacherous channel crossings and British war chariots employing unfamiliar tactics, Caesar established a beachhead and forced tribal submissions. A second expedition in 54 BCE penetrated deeper inland, crossing the Thames and capturing British strongholds. Though practical considerations forced withdrawal, Caesar's legend was enhanced by merely crossing the ocean. Vercingetorix, the ultimate challenge just when Caesar seemed invincible. Gaul exploded in the greatest uprising in its history, led by a charismatic young chieftain whose name would echo through the ages. The Gauls were about to give Caesar the fight of his life and nearly destroy him in the process. The revolt began in winter 53-52 BCE, when Vercingetorix, a young Arverni nobleman whose name meant Great King of Warriors, united Gaul's fractured tribes. Handsome, eloquent, and burning with hatred for Rome, he possessed the charisma to forge an unprecedented coalition. Vercingetorix's strategy was brilliant scorched earth tactics that denied Roman supplies while guerrilla attacks harassed their columns. For the first time, Caesar found himself consistently outmaneuvered. The siege of Gergovia became Caesar's first major defeat, bloodily repulsed, while neutral tribes joined the revolt and even loyal allies deserted. Alesia, the siege that changed history, the climax came at Alesia, where Vercingetorix had withdrawn to an unassailable plateau. Caesar couldn't storm the position, but he had something else in mind, one of history's greatest engineering marvels. Caesar surrounded Alesia with double fortifications, an inner wall trapping the Gauls, an outer wall protecting against relief forces. His soldiers completed an 11-mile fortified ring studded with traps and barriers. When a massive relief army arrived, portedly 250,000 strong, they found themselves trapped outside, while Vercingetorix remained trapped inside. The final battle was apocalyptic, attacked simultaneously from both sides. Caesar faced annihilation. At the crucial moment, he led a desperate cavalry charge that shattered the relief army. Vercingetorix, watching the slaughter, knew the cause was lost. In history's most dramatic surrender, the young Gallic king rode out alone, wearing his finest armor. He circled Caesar's chair 3 times, then laid down his weapons. Gaul was conquered. The price of victory and legacy, Caesar's conquest was complete, but the cost was staggering. 1 million Gauls died, another million enslaved, entire tribes exterminated, and Celtic civilization forever shattered. Yet Caesar's gamble had paid off spectacularly. He returned to Rome with unimaginable wealth, veteran legions devoted to his person, and a military reputation that eclipsed all rivals. The debt-ridden politician who entered Gaul in 58 BCE returned 8 years later as the Mediterranean's most powerful man. Without his Gallic wealth and veteran army, Caesar could never have crossed the Rubicon or won the civil war that followed. The conquest of Gaul became the foundation upon which the Roman Empire was built. Vercingetorix languished in a Roman prison for 6 years before being strangled in Caesar's triumph. But his sacrifice wasn't in vain. He had become the first symbol of European resistance to imperial domination, an inspiration that would echo through centuries whenever free peoples faced conquest by overwhelming force.